Dusk settled over the quiet cul-de-sac as Ethan Caldwell pulled into his driveway, his fatigue still crisp despite a grueling 12-hour shift at the base. The air was heavy with the promise of a calm evening, the kind that should have felt like a sanctuary after a day of rigid protocols and secure zones. But as Ethan stepped out of his pickup, a prickle of unease crawled up his spine. Something was off. The stillness wasn't peaceful, it was wrong, like a note played out of tune. His eyes, trained by years in the military, scanned the perimeter instinctively. Then he saw it, the back gate, wide open, swaying slightly in the breeze. Ethan's boots hit the pavement before his mind fully registered the sight. That gate, a sturdy steel barrier he'd installed 3 weeks ago, led to a narrow access lane on his property. It wasn't just a backyard path, it was a federally designated military emergency route, secured with a reinforced padlock after he'd caught kids sneaking through. No one had permission to touch it. No one should even be near it. Yet the lock was gone, not broken, just vanished, as if someone had erased it with surgical precision. His pulse quickened, but his steps remained measured as he rounded the house. A faint pop song drifted toward him, followed by laughter and a voice shouting, "Yo, toss me the chips!" What he saw next stopped him cold. His backyard, his private retreat, had been transformed into a stranger's playground. 2 vehicles, a gleaming white SUV and a battered red truck, were parked on his gravel pad. 7 people he'd never seen before lounged like they owned the place. A woman in a floppy hat dangled her feet in his pool. 2 kids chased each other with pool floaties, their sneakers strewn across his flower beds. A guy in a tank top stood at Ethan's grill, flipping burgers with a lazy grin, the smell of charcoal and cheap beer thick in the air. Crumbs littered his patio table. Someone had rearranged his chair cushions. Ethan didn't shout. He didn't storm in. He just stood there, letting the surreal scene sink in. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice low, cutting through the chatter like a blade. The guy at the grill glanced back, spatula in hand. "Oh, we're Lisa's guests. She said we could park here and hang out." "That cool?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "Lisa?" As in Lisa Thornton, the HOA president who once fined him for a mailbox that was half an inch too tall? The woman who patrolled the neighborhood like it was her personal fiefdom. She'd given strangers permission to invade his property? The disbelief hit like a punch to the gut, but Ethan stayed rooted, his military training overriding the shock. This wasn't a mix-up. This was a violation, bold and deliberate. He didn't raise his voice, just told them to leave, his tone leaving no room for debate. A few muttered apologies as they grabbed their coolers and shuffled out. The grill guy avoided eye contact, slinking away last. Ethan locked the gate behind them, his mind already shifting gears. Inside, he pulled up his security footage. The rear camera had caught it all. Lisa, in a tennis skirt and visor, wielding bolt cutters with the confidence of someone untouchable. She snipped the lock without a glance around, her posture radiating smug certainty. No hesitation, no shame, just pure, HOA-sanctioned audacity. Ethan sat at his desk, the footage looping on his screen, his hand clenched around a pen. Lisa wasn't new to him. She was the kind of HOA tyrant who measured grass blades with a ruler and sent 3-page emails about trash can placement. He'd written her off as a suburban control freak, annoying but harmless. But this? Cutting his lock? Letting strangers party on his land? This was no petty power trip. She'd crossed a line she didn't even know existed. That lane wasn't just his property, it was a military access point, federally protected, tied to the nearby base's emergency protocols. Lisa thought she was playing neighborhood queen. Ethan knew better, she just tampered with restricted infrastructure. The next morning, he crossed the street to her house, his steps deliberate, his face calm but unyielding. Lisa answered the door in a bright blue robe, clutching a mug that read, "HOA boss." Her smile flickered when she saw him, but she recovered quickly, greeting him like they were swapping recipes. "You cut my lock," Ethan said, no preamble. Lisa sipped her coffee, shrugging. "I had every right. That gate's on the community path. You can't lock it up. Ethan's eyes narrowed. It's on my property. I installed it. That lane's not public, it's a military emergency route. Federally protected. Lisa laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound. Oh, please. It's a path, Ethan. Don't make it sound like you're guarding a nuclear bunker. Her words hung in the air, dripping with condescension. She thought she could wave away a federal easement with a smirk and a coffee mug. Ethan didn't argue. He didn't need to. I have permits, he said, his voice cold. You let CIVY liens through a restricted zone. Lisa rolled her eyes. You're blowing this out of proportion. It's just a gate. Ethan nodded once, turned, and left. Let her think she'd won. She'd learn soon enough. 3 years ago, when Ethan bought the house, the realtor had highlighted the lane's unique status. It wasn't a public walkway or an HOA shortcut, it was a federal easement for military emergencies, maintained by the base. Ethan had done everything by the book: city permits, surveyor's maps, base approval from Colonel Sarah Mitchell herself. The gate was legal, documented, and untouchable. Lisa's bolt cutters hadn't just violated his property, they breached a security protocol. When she let her guests park and party, she turned a critical access point into a liability. Ethan didn't hesitate. He filed an incident report, attaching the footage, permits, and a detailed account of the breach. By noon, it was with the base's security office, flagged as CIVY interference with federal infrastructure. He didn't knock on Lisa's door again. He didn't need to. The system would handle it. 2 days later, a gray Department of Defense van rolled into the neighborhood, silent and unassuming. Neighbors peeked from windows as 2 officers stepped out, their uniforms plain but authoritative. Ethan met them at the gate, signing their paperwork with a nod. One officer inspected the gate's alignment with a satellite map, the other installed a new sign. Restricted military access. Violators subject to federal penalties. Above it, a solar-powered camera, its red light blinking. No fanfare, just quiet, unshakable authority. Lisa watched from her porch, arms crossed, her forced smile crumbling as the words "federal penalties" sank in. Neighbors gathered, phones out, recording not Ethan but her. The air shifted, heavy with the weight of consequence. Ethan stood back, hands behind him, letting the officers work. This wasn't about gloating, it was about order. The fallout came in a manila envelope, stamped with the DoD's seal and delivered to the HOA board. Its 3 pages were brutal in their clarity. The lane was military infrastructure, not HOA property. Lisa's actions cutting the lock, admitting CIVY lienswear interference, potentially prosecutable under federal law. The board read it in stunned silence. Even the usual complainers sat mute. The treasurer, Mike Larson, broke the quiet with a nervous question. Are we liable for this? No one answered, but the room's eyes fixed on Lisa, her usual bravado gone. Whispers spread like wildfire. Did you hear she cut his lock? She let strangers party there? It's a military lane. Neighbors stopped greeting Lisa. Her newsletters went unread. A petition circulated demanding her removal for boundary overreach and legal endangerment. Ethan found it in his mailbox but didn't sign. He didn't need to. The neighborhood was done with her. One evening, Ethan saw Lisa on her porch, unscrewing the HOA president plaque with quick, mechanical motions. No ceremony, no glance around, just gone. She avoided his street after that, taking long detours. The HOA never mentioned the gate again. Ethan installed a new lock, a military-grade keypad with facial recognition, and a stark sign. Private military access. Monitored 24/7. The gate stood untouched, a silent line no one dared cross. Ethan never wanted drama. He just wanted peace, a clear boundary respected. He got it not through shouts or petty revenge, but through calm, relentless protocol. The neighborhood learned a lesson: real consequences don't need sirens. They come in envelopes, in quiet glances, in a lock that gleams like a warning. Lisa's silence said it all. Justice, the real kind, doesn't roar. It seals the gate and waits.